Welcome back to Naval News. I'd like to thank Established Titles for sponsoring today's video. We're going to talk about two things today. First, coming out of Italy, Leonardo has developed a 127mm and a 155mm round that looks pretty amazing. This is called Vulcano ammunition. It is just completed its acceptance testing into the German Navy and is going to be put on their new destroyers, frigates, and the Italian frigates as well. Here you can see the northern coast of Norway where this shell testing took place. This is a German frigate firing a 127mm shell for accuracy testing, the range at which is in excess of 80 kilometers. This is extremely long-range fire that is accurate to within 5 meters of the target. And it passed with flying colors. So it's a very advanced shell passing these evaluation tests to be used in the German Navy. And we expect the shells to become available for the German Navy in 2026. There is a new German naval ship called the F-126 that I believe has been delayed. They're going to build 4 of them with 2 options. And the 4 that are coming out will begin getting these shells in 2028. This is what the shells look like here. Here you have a 155mm shell and a 5-inch round. This is from the Airspace Convention back in 2019, and these are just mock-ups of what the shells look like. So some stats on these is really the range is pretty incredible, so they can evidently use the fins or something to extend the range of the shell, much like a glide weapon does. The accuracy is phenomenal, and it is internally checked. There's a gyro inside that keeps it steady on course, but it's also autonomously GPS guided, and whenever it gets to the terminal phase, it can be IR homed or IR guided, infrared. So it can even hit moving targets like vehicles that generate heat as they move. So you could, in theory, fire this shell from over 80 kilometers offshore and hit a moving tank on the beach, as long as it had a heat source while it was moving. It's a very capable munition. Again, created by Leonardo Industries, coming out of Italy, and it's going to be used on the German F-126 frigates, or any frigate that has this cannon on it, this 127mm cannon, also created by Italy. And it's going to be used on the Italian frigates, general purpose frigates. Just to give you an idea of what these look like, we haven't done ship briefs on the NATO fleets yet, but I'm seriously considering once we're done with China, we're probably going to move to NATO, and we'll break all these ships down for you, because I've been kind of sleeping on the European military industry. They have been quietly, from my point of view, creating some incredible technologies and mounting them together on these ships, making these frigates extremely capable, low cost, high maneuverability, and a huge, very lethal. So I'm extremely impressed. This is the Italian one, and this is the F-26. F-26 isn't made yet, but my understanding is they're planning on building 4 of these with an option for 2 more in Germany. All right. And finally, the Department of Defense did release the speech given by Admiral Charles A. He's in charge of Strategic Command for the United States, and we're going to go over that in just a second. But first, a word from our sponsor. Thank you to Established Titles for sponsoring this video. Established Titles is a fun and novel way to preserve natural woodlands of Scotland, as well as support a global reforestation effort. Through Established Titles, you can purchase symbolic souvenir plots of land for yourself or as a great gift. This project is based on historic Scottish tradition where landowners are referred to as lords and ladies. You can officially include the title of lord or lady on credit cards, plane tickets, and dating profiles. And having that title on your dating profile is a great way to break the ice on your first date. Each title pack gives you at least 1 square foot of land with a unique plot number on a private estate in Edelston, Scotland, and an official certificate with a crest. Established Titles works with global charities like One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future to plant a tree with every order. The first 200 people purchasing a title pack with my link will effectively be next to my plot. It's within walking distance. We can start a sub-brief kingdom. It makes an amazing last-minute gift.
Apparently, if you
address me as Lord!
Scotland. Why'd you do that? You're right.
Established Titles is running a massive Black Friday sale right now. Plus, if you use my code SUB, you get an additional 10% off. So go to establishedtitles.com/sub and get your gifts now and help support the channel. And welcome back. Navy Admiral Charles A. Richard, Strategic Commander for the United States Strategic Forces, gave a stunning and blunt talk at the Naval Submarine League 2022 symposium this year. And it really has called attention to our lack of innovation, the speed at which we develop systems, and how that's going to hurt us going into the next decade and even the next century. Now, I don't have the actual audio from him. I just have the transcript, so I'll be reading that for you here. Quoting Admiral Charles A. Richard. This Ukraine crisis that we're in right now, this is just the warm-up. The big one is coming, and it isn't going to be very long before we're going to get tested in ways that we haven't been tested in a long time. We have to do some rapid, fundamental change in the way we approach the defense of this nation. I'll tell you, the current situation is vividly illuminating what nuclear coercion looks like and how you or how you don't stand up to that. Competitors like China are outcompeting the United States in a dramatic fashion. The US must step up its deterrence game, or it's going to be bowled over. As I assess our level of deterrence against China, the ship is slowly sinking. It's sinking slowly, but it's sinking, as fundamentally they are putting capability into the field faster than we are. As those curves keep going, it isn't going to matter how good our operating plan is, or how good our commanders are, or how good our forces are. We're not going to have enough of them, and that is a very near-term problem. One area is the US still dominates is its undersea capabilities, the United States submarine fleet. The undersea capability is still one of maybe the only true asymmetrical advantage we still have against our opponents. But unless we pick up the pace in terms of getting our maintenance problems fixed, getting new construction going, if we can't figure that out, we're not going to put ourselves in a good position to maintain strategic deterrence and national defense. Regaining the advantage on the other areas might mean looking backwards, as much as 60 or more years, to a time when the United States military was able to do things faster than what it does today. We used to know how to move fast, and we've lost the art of that. The Air Force went from a request almost written on a napkin when they figured out in the late 1950s that the Soviet integrated air defense systems were getting to the point that the B-52s just wasn't going to make it in, and we needed something called a cruise missile. And so they envisioned what a standoff weapon looks like. The US military was able to deliver a Hound Dog cruise missile in just 33 months. We had 2 squadrons of B-52s equipped with these 800 nautical mile Mach 2 plus 1 megaton nuclear warhead with accuracy that was really good for the day, hanging off the wings of B-52s in less than 3 years. This weapon was so cool you could actually turn the engines on its cruise missiles on the wings and give you additional thrust on takeoff. There are other examples of how the US military is able to rapidly develop and field capability to meet the needs, and that's what the US must get back to. We have to get back into the business of not talking about how we're going to mitigate our assumed eventual failure to get the Columbia SSBN in on time, the B-21 or the LRSO, and flip it to the way we used to ask our questions of our nation. Which is it going to take? Is it money? Is it people? Do we need authorities? What's the risk? That's how we got to the moon in 1969. We need to bring some of that back. Otherwise, China is simply going to outcompete us, and Russia isn't going anywhere anytime soon.